Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 9 Part 33 based on novel. So let's start. As news of the Silver Tower being snatched by Lin Dong swiftly spread, the sea region's neighboring Sky Merchant region became increasingly noisy. Various factions dispatched their forces in an attempt to search for Lin Dong and snatch the Silver Tower. There were also quite a number of lone experts amongst this group who also wanted to get involved in this matter. After all, the allure of a cave dwelling belonging to a reincarnation stage expert was really difficult to resist. However, such activity did not have much results. While the sea region was in complete chaos, the Scarlet Red Cauldron continued to quietly hide deep at the bottom of the sea while waiting for all of it to come to an end. This continued for half a month or so, before the various factions began to withdraw from their fruitless search. It was likely that Lin Dong had already ventured far away. Regardless of how capable they were, it was clearly an extremely difficult task to find someone within this endless chaotic demon sea. The Scarlet Red Cauldron, which had been hidden under the reef for half a month, once again flickered as the uproar gradually came to an end. With a little jerk, it shot out from the reef. Although the Scarlet Red Cauldron had rushed out, neither Lin Dong nor Mu Lingshan revealed themselves. Instead, Lin Dong controlled the cauldron, and carefully shot through the sea in a quiet manner. At this moment, he was clearly afraid of traveling over the surface of the sea. Although the search had extended under the sea, it was extremely difficult for an ordinary person to find the burning sky cauldron within the sea due to its ability to hide itself. The two of them traveled underwater in this fashion for a full day. Only when Lin Dong sensed that the search over the surface of the sea gradually diminished, did he finally control the burning sky cauldron and left the water. It is really suffocating. Mu Lingshan anxiously charged out from within the burning sky cauldron the moment they exited from the surface of the sea. It was likely that being in the burning sky cauldron during this period of time had really caused her to feel unbearably stifled. It is our fault for creating such a big mess, Lin Dong smilingly said. It was likely that their names had even spread throughout the neighboring sea regions. After all, there were not many in this world who possessed the boldness and ability to snatch an item from a profound death stage expert with the strength of an initial profound life stage expert. Brother Lin Dong, where should we head to now? Mu Lingshan's large eyes stared at Lin Dong as she asked. Sky Lightning Sea region. Are you coming along? Lin Dong grinned and said, since we have obtained the key to the cave dwelling if the reincarnation stage expert, would it not mean that we are wasting precious natural resources if we do not go? A reincarnation stage expert cave dwelling, good, good. Mu Lingshan blinked her large eyes as she immediately nodded continuously. Her aim of fleeing from the clan was to gain experience. Heading to the so-called reincarnation stage expert's cave dwelling with Lin Dong clearly aligned with her goal. Lin Dong smiled and nodded upon seeing this. After which, he peered into the distance and said, according to the map, there is quite some distance between this place and the Sky Lightning Sea region. Even with our speed, we will likely require a month of travel. Then we'll need a ride. Mu Lingshan tilted her head. If they continuously traveled in this manner, they would meet with some of the numerous storms on the sea. Some of these disasters would cause even profound death stage experts to hide. This would delay their journey. Right? We do not have something like this. Lin Dong spoke in a startled fashion. Mu Lingshan laughed. Immediately, she landed on the surface of the sea. Her small hand touched the water, and a mysterious sonic wave was swiftly emitted from her hand. Lin Dong could vaguely sense that the sonic wave was spreading into the distance at a frightening speed within the sea. That manner was as though it was summoning something. Lin Dong watched this scene with some curiosity. After which, he quietly waited. This continued for around an hour, before his heart suddenly shook. He could see an enormous shadow appearing from the bottom of the sea. Soon after, a monstrous wave came surging upwards. The clear sound of a whale whistle resounded. A blue large whale, which was thousands of feet in size, broke out from the sea and appeared within Lin Dong's sights. This is. Lin Dong was startled as he looked at this giant blue whale. Some light symbols were present on this whale's large body. This caused him to be able to vaguely feel the vast and mighty energy within that body. This is the sea-guarding mysterious whale. Its speed is amongst the top 5 within the sea beasts within this chaotic demon sea. No storm is able to hinder it from advancing. With it as our ride, we will be able to travel a little quicker. Although Brother Lin Dong is quite fast, you will definitely be unable to compete with it in the sea. Mu Lingshan landed on the enormous blue whale. Her little hand patted it, before she lifted her head and smilingly said to Lin Dong. Lin Dong's eyes were a little strange as he stared at this enormous creature. He also grinned and his body descended from the air. After which, he sat down on the enormous body of the sea-guarding mysterious whale. Light symbols flashed on the body of the mysterious whale when he sat down, as a light barrier appeared to protect them. The strength of the sea-guarding mysterious whale was likely comparable to an advanced profound life stage expert. Lin Dong could sense the majestic strength surging within the huge whale under him, and he involuntarily clicked his tongue. Fortunately, Mu Lingshan was a member of the immortal sage whale clan, and possessed absolute authority and control over all whales. Else, it would be a relatively difficult task if they wished to capture such a powerful sea beast as a ride. Let's get moving. Mu Lingshan waved her small hand, as a silver bell-like laughter emerged from her mouth. The sea-guarding mysterious whale emitted a soft hum and the sea immediately shook. Its huge body had turned into a flash of blue light as it cut the wind and waves. In a flash, it shot out like an arrow. Lin Dong watched this scene and smiled with satisfaction. With this thing, they should be able to reach the Sky Lightning Sea region a couple of days earlier. While Lin Dong and Mu Lingshan were riding the sea-guarding mysterious whale, none of them were aware of a light suddenly flashing past from an extremely distant sea. That light was extremely quick. However, the strange thing was that not even the slightest ripple was formed on the sea when the light passed by. It was as though the light itself had merged with the sea. The light ray that flashed past suddenly paused at this moment. It seemed to turn into a human figure. This figure extended his hand and grabbed the water in front of him. It's the whale summoning sound, this fluctuation, it is indeed from that little girl. That human figure muttered to himself. His body quickly moved and disappeared from this sea in a ghost-like manner. Lin Dong quietly sat on the mysterious whale. His eyes were tightly shut. Vast and mighty yuan power surged around his body. It repeatedly tempered his physical body and medians as he breathed. Lin Dong's aura was currently a little unsteady, and the yuan power around him rose and fell in strength. Such a situation was not unfamiliar. Usually, this would occur when one was about to grow stronger. Clearly, after the many training and bitter battles during this period of time, Lin Dong's strength had unknowingly improved once again. At his current level, he should have already reached the peak of the initial profound life stage. He was only a step away from the advanced level. This training speed could be described as relatively swift. I can take the advantage of this period of traveling to break through to the advanced profound life stage. Lin Dong's tightly shut eyes were suddenly opened. He sensed the majestic yuan power within his body as he clenched his fists and muttered. Although his current self possessed the ability to deal with a profound death stage expert, he was only able to use it once. After that, his fighting strength would greatly diminish due to overexhaustion. The reason he was able to so effective during the 2 prior incidents was mainly because both the nefarious Bone Old Man and Old Demon Mosia were afraid of death. Otherwise, if they were to continue pressing him, he would end up being the unlucky one. Hence, before unleashing these techniques, Lin Dong needed to increase in his own strength. No matter how one put it, relying on an external object was unreliable. The only one who could be relied upon was oneself. I still have 2 drops of the core spiritual birth serum in my hands. Let's see if I can attempt a breakthrough. Lin Dong softly muttered to himself. He immediately clenched his hand, and a jade bottle appeared within it. He was preparing his attempt when his expression suddenly changed drastically. His head abruptly lifted, and his eyes looked at the sky in front of him. A certain spot had started to become somewhat distorted. At this moment, the sea-guarding mysterious whale also suddenly emitted a sharp whistle. It halted its huge body and cautiously watched the distorted space. That is, Mu Lingshan hurried stood up. Her small face changed slightly as she looked at the distorted space. "We have been targeted." Lin Dong's expression was a little ugly as he said. Moreover, from the looks of it, the one who had targeted them did not appear to be an ordinary person. A spot in the sky became distorted. Finally, it formed a spatial tunnel. Soon after, the Lin Dong duo saw a black-clothed man slowly walk out from the spatial tunnel. The man's long hair drifted in the wind. His clothes had some skeleton-like markings, and a pair of exceptionally delicate and long hands extended from his sleeves. However, there was a black and white aura lingering over them. "Ha ha, you are the ones who had snatched the silver tower, right?" The black-clothed long-haired man smilingly looked at the Lin Dong duo below and softly asked. "Who are you?" Lin Dong asked in a low voice. The long-haired man thought for a moment, while his eyes remained fixed on Lin Dong. A smile surfaced on the former's face as he slowly said, "I am the cave master of the demonic wind cave, Wu Xian." Lin Dong's pupils instantly shrunk tightly. The giant whale floated on the azure sea. From time to time, a sea breeze would blow past, however, it was unable to scatter the extremely tense atmosphere present. In the sky before the giant whale was a long-haired man in a black robe. He was slightly smiling and looked rather gentle, however, Lin Dong was able to sense the iciness flowing under his smile. Demonic Wind Cave Chief Wu Xian. Lin Dong tightly pursed his lips and his expression appeared somewhat ugly. He had never imagined that the one who had targeted them would actually be such a major power. This was a super expert who could be considered to be at the peak even within the entire chaotic demon sea. Samsara stage. Lin Dong clenched his fists tightly. From the looks of the black and white energy flowing around Wu Xian's body, it was obvious that he had already reached the stage of fusing life and death. In other words, this cave chief of the demonic wind cave was a major power who had stepped into the Samsara stage. At this level, he was already comparable to those sect masters of the super sects in the eastern Xian region. This is going to be troublesome. Lin Dong frowned tightly. If the one who had chased them was a profound death stage expert, he might perhaps still have a chance of escaping. However, the one who had come was a genuine Samsara stage ultimate expert. They would definitely be steamrolled if they were to fight. It is unexpected that the cave chief of the demonic wind cave is actually willing to lower himself to chase after two youngsters like us. Lin Dong breathed in deeply, before he lifted his head and spoke to Wu Xian. "Ha ha, I am not after the both of you. It is a coincidence that I received some news while returning. After which, I searched for you on the way." Wu Xian slightly smiled and said, "Robbing others is after all not good. All you need to do now is to hand over that item and return with me to the demonic wind cave. What do you say?" Wu Xian's smile was gentle, and his tone even made it seem as though he was open to discussion. However, Lin Dong understood that it was precisely such individuals that were most troublesome to deal with. Lin Dong smiled. He exchanged a glance with Mu Lingshan by the side. In the next moment, the sea-guarding mysterious whale suddenly swung its huge tail. 1,000 feet large water pillar broke out from the sea, and ruthlessly charged towards Wu Xian. At the same time, its enormous body also swiftly dived into the sea. Bang! The water pillar exploded. However, the vast and mighty strength contained within it automatically disappeared when it was still around 100 feet from Wu Xian. The latter smiled slightly. With a wave of his sleeve, the seawater below suddenly froze, and the huge submerging body of the sea-guarding mysterious whale also halted at this moment. Truly two rude little kids. Wu Xian smiled faintly. Soon after, he extended his slender hand. If that is the case, this distinguished one can only personally take action. As his voice faded, a cold glint flashed across Lin Dong's eyes. His feet pushed off the mysterious whale, and his body rushed forward. In a flash, he appeared behind Wu Xian. Immediately, a blood-red light appeared in his hand. This blood light drew across his palm, causing a trace of fresh blood to appear. A monstrous bloody and evil aura suddenly swept out from within the blood-red light. after which, it directly tore apart the void, turning into an extremely ferocious bloodlight pierced towards the fatal spots on Wu Xian's back. You actually dare to take the initiative and attack when facing this chief. This boldness really makes me respect you even more. Wu Xian smiled faintly, but he did not turn his head around. With a flick of his finger, black and white chi suddenly swept forth, and ruthlessly collided with that bloodlight. Bang! A clear sound appeared. The extremely formidable bloodlight was directly reflected. As the bloodlight dimmed, it turned into a blood-colored tooth. This was surprisingly the pure Yuan soul treasure which Lin Dong had obtained, the demon shark tooth. Even fully powered by Lin Dong, it was still easily dealt with by Wu Xian. The strength of a samsara stage expert was really somewhat terrifying. So what if you are the chief of the demonic wind cave? A good dog does not block one's path. A petite figure rushed forward while Lin Dong's attack was blocked. While she cried out in a lovely voice, Mu Lingshan's hands hugged the life-death coffin cover. Majestic Yuan power surged and slammed ruthlessly towards Wu Xian. Bang! Wu Xian's expression was indifferent as he extended his hand. His palm came into direct contact with the incoming life-death coffin cover, as a muffled thud emerged. His body did not budge at all. Instead, Mu Lingshan's body was sent flying backwards. Little girl, you are really far too barbaric and reckless. If you continue in this manner, you will surely be taught a lesson. Wu Xian looked indifferently at Mu Lingshan as she flew backwards. Quickly after, his slender hand reached out. A black and white light beam filled with life-death energy tore through space and shot towards the latter with lightning speed. Green light suddenly flashed past just before Mu Lingshan was about to be struck by the black and white light beam. Lin Dong hugged her as they miserably tumbled through the air. Only then did he narrowly dodge the attack. Lingshan, leave first. The green dragon wings behind Lin Dong slowly flapped. His expression was somewhat grim as he spoke softly to Mu Lingshan in his embrace. Lin Dong was clearly aware of the difficulty in this current situation, however, he did despair. His current self had similarly become much stronger than when he was back then at Unique Devil City. If he was to use all of his cards, it was not impossible for him to escape from the hands of this Wu Xian. Of course, the precondition was that he was alone. Leave? Will that be possible? Lin Dong's voice might be soft, but it was still captured by Wu Xian's ears. He immediately chuckled softly. There seemed to be a cold glint rising within his eyes. His current self appeared a little impatient. Go? Lin Dong sent Mu Lingshan flying with a strike of his palm. The gentle force pushed her to the surface of the sea. Immediately, he waved his sleeve, and a scarlet red light flew out and turned into a huge cauldron. Light spewed from the mouth of the cauldron in an attempt to suck that Wu Xian into it. Brother Lin Dong, if anything happens to you, I will get my first grandpa to exterminate his demonic wind cave. Mu Lingshan landed on the surface of the sea. She looked at this scene, gritted her teeth, and cried out in a loud voice. After which, she moved, intending to dive into the sea. She was clearly aware that she would not be of much help to Lin Dong even if she remained behind. Exterminate my demonic wind cave. A cold glint flashed within Wu Xian's eyes. His body immediately moved and disappeared in a ghost-like fashion. This caused the burning sky cauldron that had appeared behind him to miss its target. Lingshan, be careful. The disappearance of Wu Xian's body caused Lin Dong to be startled, as he hurriedly cried out. From the looks of it, this Wu Xian seemed to be planning on attacking Mu Lingshan. Mu Lingshan's small face changed slightly upon seeing this. Her petite body was twisted and she directly fled into the sea. However, before her body could enter the water, Wu Xian appeared on the surface of the sea and violently stomped on the water's surface. Bang! The entire sea seemed to rebel at this moment, and countless water pillars shot towards the sky. A petite figure was sent flying by a water pillar in a miserable manner. That vast and mighty force caused a trace of blood to appear at the corner of her mouth. You bastard! Hostility overflowed from Lin Dong's eyes upon seeing this. As he clenched both of his fists, a strange light array surfaced in a partially visible manner. However, Wu Xian completely ignored him at this moment. The former moved and appeared in front of Mu Lingshan. Two of his fingers curled, as black and white light appeared their tips. It like a dagger of life and death, it mercilessly pierced towards the latter's throat. Bang! The black and white fingers of Wu Xian was only a feet from Mu Lingshan's throat when the huge sea below suddenly sunk. Quickly, a blue light with a black and white aura shot out from it and headed straight for Wu Xian. This sudden shocking attack caused Wu Xian's expression to change. His attack paused, and his fingers lowered to viciously clash against that blue light. Bang! A frightening force swept apart in the sky. Immediately, a water pillar shot towards the heavens. A ghost-like figure rushed out from the water pillar and caught Mu Lingshan, who was in the air. Who may this distinguished one be? Why have you intervened in the matters of my demonic wind cave? Wu Xian was jerked a couple of steps back. His expression sunk slightly, as he coldly said. Sea water came pouring down from the sky, while Lin Dong also threw his astonished gaze over. He saw a blue-clothed man standing in the air within the storm. The man was extremely handsome, and both of his eyes were azure. From a distance, he seemed to authority over the great seas, and appeared deep and unfathomable. Demonic Wind Cave. That man carried Mu Lingshan as he stared at Wu Xian. The corners of his mouth lifted to form an ice-cold mocking smile. You wretched fellow! Do you think you have the qualifications to teach someone from my immortal sage whale clan a lesson? Above the surface of the sea was a man in a blue robe. He was tall and his azure hair draped over his shoulders, making him look extremely free and easy. However, his expression was currently frosty, and his blue eyes were suffused with coldness as they locked onto the demonic wind cave's Wu Xian before him. Immortal Sage Whale Clan. Wu Xian's expression first darkened slightly because of the earlier rude words of the blue-robed man. However, the expression in his eyes was slightly altered after he heard this name. The strongest faction within this chaotic demon sea was the Sea Demon Tribe. The Sea Demon Tribe was made up of countless clans, and the Immortal Sage Whale Clan was one of the Overlord-level clans amongst them. It was very rare for human factions in this chaotic demon sea to have the qualifications to fight against the Immortal Sage Whale Clan. At the very least, the demonic wind cave was rather lacking when compared to them. Third Grandpa. At this moment, Mu Lingshan had also recovered. She looked at this blue-clothed man who had suddenly appeared, as joy flashed across her large eyes. Soon after, some moisture gathered in her eyes as though she was performing a trick. Third Grandpa, this bastard says he wants to kill me. Mu Lingshan appeared extremely pitiful. Additionally, there was still a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. Moreover, this little girl's acting skill was really quite good, and it was likely that she had frequently done such things. Hence, anyone would feel some heartache after seeing her appearance. The blue-clothed man lowered his head and looked at this appearance of Mu Lingshan, as a warm smile surfaced on his handsome face. He rubbed Mu Lingshan's small head and laughed, "Relax, with Third Grandpa around, no one will be able to touch you." He once again lifted his head after his voice sounded. As his gaze turned towards Wu Xian, the gentleness on his face turned into ice-cold killing intent. Since when has the demonic wind cave become so bold? You even dare touch a member of my Immortal Sage Whale Clan? Wu Xian knitted his brows. The development of the situation had clearly exceeded his expectations. He had never imagined that this little girl was actually a member of the Immortal Sage Whale Clan. Moreover, from the looks of it, she seemed to hold quite a high position within the Immortal Sage Whale Clan. Wu Xian was clearly a little afraid of this great titan within the Sea Demon Tribe. It was rumored that the Immortal Sage Whale Clan had a true reincarnation stage expert. Such a foundation was many times stronger than their demonic wind cave. Although Wu Xian was clearly aware of the great strength of the Immortal Sage Whale Clan, he was after all also an ultimate expert at the Samsara stage, and could be considered one of the top-level individuals within this chaotic demon sea. His expression was naturally a little ugly after being mocked by this blue-clothed man. These two have snatched something from the hands of my demonic wind cave. Don't tell me that this chief cannot act to snatch it back. Although your immortal sage whale clan is powerful, do you think that everyone within my demonic wind cave is a softie that can be toyed with? Wu Xian laughed coldly. Snatch something belonging to you. The blue-clothed man was slightly startled. After which, he glanced at the nearby Lin Dong, as he grinned and mocked, your demonic wind cave can be considered to have some reputation in the chaotic demon sea. Yet, your stuff has been snatched by two little children. What else can one say other than that you are useless? Lin Dong rubbed his nose. He felt that this blue-clothed man was really domineering. Would these words not anger Wu Xian to the point of throwing up blood? Lin Dong had this thought in mind as he turned his eyes towards Wu Xian. Sure enough, the latter's face had become dark and solemn. I have long since heard of the reputation of the immortal sage whale clan. Now that I have met you today, I will really like to see just how much actual weight this reputation possesses. Wu Xian slowly stepped forward. As he did so, the Yuan power around appeared to fall into a state of rebelling, as the area within 100,000 feet gradually became distorted. If you wish to play, I shall accompany you. The blue-clothed man laughed softly. Soon after, he gently patted Mu Lingshan in his embrace, and a gentle force delivered her towards Lin Dong. After which, he swung his sleeve. Bang! The large ocean immediately churned after the sleeve was swung. Immediately, a huge wave was formed. It directly transformed into 100,000 feet large water curtain that rumbled as it floated behind the blue-clothed man. That scene was extremely spectacular. What power! Lin Dong was speechless. These two experts had stepped into the samsara stage. This level could be considered top tier even within the entire world. This fight between them had even caused the world to change. That is my third grandpa, Mu Lan, he is quite powerful. However, first grandpa is even stronger than him. Mu Lingshan smilingly said beside Lin Dong. This is indeed worthy of the immortal sage whale clan. Surprise flashed across Lin Dong's eyes. This Mu Lan was already at the samsara stage. If that so-called first grandpa was even stronger, would that not mean that the latter had stepped into the reincarnation stage? That level was truly the pinnacle existence in this world. He never imagined that the immortal stage whale clan actually possessed such a powerful individual. Rumble. Wu Xian's expression was cold as he stood in the sky. He suddenly extended his hand. Monstrous black and white chi came sweeping out from it, and formed a 10,000 feet large black and white python in his hand. Bang! The huge python's body jerked, and space itself collapsed. That frightening force caused Lin Dong to be a little horrified. It was likely that just a random swing of this huge python would be able to kill a profound death stage expert. 9 depths divine underworld palm. A low cry was suddenly emitted from Wu Xian's mouth. Immediately, black and white light surged in the sky. The black and white large python whistled out in an instant. Although its body was huge, it was as quick as lightning. That enormous body was just like a black and white thunderbolt that rushed towards Mu Lan. You do have some ability. Mu Lan's eyebrow lifted as he watched this. Both of his palms rotated, and the 100,000 feet large wave behind him suddenly rose. It transformed into an enormous blue light whale that stretched on endlessly. Ancestor whale palm. Mu Lan wore a smile on his face as he threw a punch forward. Space collapsed where the palm passed. After which, that blue light huge whale abruptly swept forth. It broke through space itself, and collided with a bang against that giant black and white python. Bang! The world began to show signs of collapsing at the moment of collision, as space swiftly distorted. A storm came pouring down wildly, covering an area of 100,000 feet. The sea below had been shaken until 100,000 feet large whirlpool was formed. It was a long time later before it was finally filled with seawater. Lin Dong pulled Mu Lingshan as they withdrew. In spite of this, he still felt a little suffocated in his chest because of this terrifying power, while was shaken inside. A samsara stage expert was indeed far from what a profound death stage expert could compare with. The storm came pouring down from all over the sky, and it was a long time later before it gradually calmed. Lin Dong lifted his head only to see the face-off between the two figures in the distant sky. Their two formidable auras were like two divine spears that seemed to be able to pierce the world. It was clearly difficult to determine a victor in such a battle. Both parties were samsara stage experts. Unless they used their ultimate attacks, it would be difficult for either party to gain the upper hand. Wu Xian's expression was a little gloomy. However, a long while later, he inhaled a deep breath and calmed the fury in his heart. Given the current situation, he was clearly no longer able to retrieve the silver tower. You can forget about taking back that item. Treat it as an apology for injuring my little granddaughter. Mu Lan laughed towards Wu Xian. The corners of Wu Xian's eyes twitched as he spoke in a deep voice. My demonic wind cave will not simply give up on this matter. Oh, regardless of what you plan on doing, my immortal sage whale clan will accompany you to the end. Mu Lan shrugged his shoulders. He seemed to smile as his eyes gradually became unusually dark and stern. However, I should remind you beforehand that if anything happens to Lingshan, there will likely no longer be a need for your demonic wind cave to exist in this chaotic demon sea. Wu Xian's pupils slightly tightened. He immediately laughed coldly. Although your immortal sage whale clan is powerful, I'm afraid that it will have to pay a price if it intends to swallow my demonic wind cave. He was aware that there was nothing else he could do today after his words faded. Without further ado, he waved his sleeve, causing space to distort as his figure disappeared. Lin Dong only sighed in relief after seeing this from afar. Third Grandpa, you are too useless, you can't even finish him off. Mu Lingshan was clearly a little unhappy at this result, as she curled her small mouth and said, That fellow's strength is also at the samsara stage. Do you think I was dealing with a small fry? Mu Lan was helpless. His body appeared beside Mu Lingshan and smilingly chided, Little girl, do you know how worried the clan is because you snuck out? That place is so boring. Mu Lingshan shook her pigtails. After which she hurriedly pulled Lin Dong beside her and smilingly introduced him, Third Grandpa, this is Brother Lin Dong. He has rescued me many times. Greetings, Elder. Lin Dong cupped his hands together towards Mu Lan. He was aware that this person before him might appear to be of similar age to himself, but the latter was actually an old demon who had lived for countless years. Ha ha, Lin Dong ha. I have long since heard of this name. However, Mu Lan merely grinned and spoke to Lin Dong in a mysterious manner. Lin Dong was taken aback. This Mu Lan had actually heard of his name? Mu Lan smiled slightly as he looked at Lin Dong's lost appearance, before he softly commented, You are becoming increasingly proficient in the green heaven materialized dragon skill. Lin Dong was slightly surprised. He suddenly understood something. It seemed that this Mu Lan had met Qingji before. This video will end here.